Jenny, hello.
Oh, hey. What's up, girl?
As if we haven't been just talking for 20 minutes. I would like to know, for the listeners or viewers that are clicking out right now, what would be the most important thing you would want them to understand from this conversation?
I mean, that's a really good question because we haven't had it yet. But
Yeah.
I think we're going to probably be chatting a little bit about the carnivore diet and just the incredible health improvements that you can see. How easy it is to fold into your life. And we're both busy moms, so it's a lot. But being a mom, but being on the carnivore diet is not hard. So many other things, Alia. There's so many directions we could go.
There's a lot of directions we could go. So since you brought up carnivore, why has that been so important for you?
Yeah, so it's just the dietary philosophy that I feel the best on. I've tried many, many, many different ways of eating, and I just always, I come back to carnivore. I've been carnivore now for 3 years, almost in December. And when I'm doing strict carnivore, that's when I feel my best. I have Hashimoto's, so I've been really working hard on trying to figure out like the root cause of that, because it is an autoimmune thyroid condition. So like, I'm hoping that I can just put that into remission and not have to deal with it anymore. And I'm making progress. Carnivore is a big part of that protocol.
Okay, awesome. And how do you do carnivore? Because there's so many different ways that people like to do carnivore. What is your route?
Sure. So I do all meat, all seafood, eggs, and butter. And I do not do any kind of other dairy. So like no cheese, no liquid dairy, unless it's raw. I have discovered recently that I can tolerate raw dairy, and it does not raise my antibodies. It actually my antibodies went down after eating raw dairy. Cold day in hell. Yeah, I know. So cool. Amazing. I miss cheese, and I really like heavy cream. So that's kind of what I'm doing most of the time. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs is kind of a staple. Steaks. I love chicken wings. Love them. I eat them like twice a week. Lots of like pork chops and things like that. And then occasionally some cans of sardines, or like we'll get tuna sashimi once a month. But honestly, I'm really boring. Generally, I came up with a bunch of recipes for the YouTube channel and for my new book. But in my own daily life, I'm typically just boring.
Boring is good.
Yeah, I think so.
Like a square? Like a square.
Yeah, kind of.
So you mentioned being a mom, and we're both moms. You got 2 kids. I got 2 kids. You're younger than mine at this point, and they're twins.
Yes.
God bless you, doing 2 at once.
Yeah. I mean, that was an act of God. That was not me. One egg split doesn't run. Twins do not run on either side of our family anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. And I was 37 when I had them. So I had assumed that I was going to have like fraternal twins, because when you are over 35, you tend to release more eggs.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I assumed, but we did the genetic testing at 13 weeks. Nope. Identical boys, Max and Heron, lights of my life. And they're so different. So different. I feel like they look a little different, but if you looked at them, you'd be like, they look exactly the same. But I live with them. So like they each have kind of slightly different like noses and eyes, and just their personalities definitely are different. It's wild.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, dumb question. 1 egg splits. Is there 2 sperm, or does it just magically split into 2?
1 sperm.
1 sperm?
And 1 sperm, 1 egg, and then the egg, I think around like I don't know exactly when, but it's very early on.
Yeah.
It splits into 2 babies. So they have similar, I think identical genetics too. I don't know too much about it other than they look almost exactly the same. And it's very interesting. Raising twins is interesting and fun, but crazy. Yeah.
How old are they now?
They're going to be 4 in November.
Oh, wow. It gets easier. I mean,
thank you.
Kids, but it does get easier.
How old are your kids?
9 and 7.
Oh, great. Those are good ages. Yeah, I worked with 6th through 12th graders. I was a youth director at a church for many years, and I love older kids. Older kids are my jam. Like after the age of 6, I'm like, all right, cool. We can hang out. We can travel. We can do stuff. But I call it like baby boot camp. The first 6 years of a kid's life is just a lot. It's a different kind of hard now, because they're like, Harry is very emotional and very angry at times. He just gets, he got the deep generational Serbian anger from Goran's side. Okay. And Maxie is just really chill and good natured, and very rarely gets angry. So it's just kind of like they never fight, but it's just a lot dealing with one, and then the other needs something, and then the other. Thankfully, we have a lot of help. Goran's parents are really close. We have an amazing nanny that's been with us since month 4 of their life. So she's been with them forever. And then my parents and family are like an hour away in Rockford, which you know of.
I know Rockford very well. I hope my uncle listens to this, and he lives in Rockford. I know you were on a talk show this week and you were talking about kids eating. How are your kids like strict carnivore? How do you do that? And did you notice behavior changes before and after?
So they are animal based.
Okay.
So they eat meat and dairy, like milk, at every single meal.
Okay.
Every meal. And sometimes that's all they eat. I present them with a plate of food and they pick what they want to eat. So like this morning, I made sausage. They love the Bob Evans sausage. So I cut that up, put that on a plate for them. I did strawberries because Max likes strawberries. Harry does not. And what else was out there? Some yogurt bites and some applesauce packets. And they and milk. And they just pick what they want. They always go for the meat first. And that's always the first thing that's gone.
Oh, good. That's great.
So we've been doing this. We've been doing carnivore since they were 1.
Oh, okay.
So they had just gone over to milk. We had done like organic, whole, real food, fruits, vegetables, and meat for when we were weaning them. So it was kind of a natural transition to go into the meat heavy diet for them. And I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, they're super tall. They're very fit. Harry gets angry, but like neither of them are bouncing off the walls or like any kind of ADHD kind of thing. And they started reading at 2.5, like legit reading.
Amazing.
Yeah. If we were sitting here, if they were here right now, they'd be reading Jenny Middich, Alia, reporting 743, like they would read all that stuff, and it kind of blows people's minds. But we've also been reading with them since they were newborn. So there's, we worked on it, but I think just cognitively getting as much meat in a child's diet as possible is imperative for optimal health and growth. And for like later in life, setting them up for success with whole real food so they don't have to deal with chronic disease later on down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Because as a kid, maybe you get chubby, maybe you get fat, maybe you don't.
I was yeah.
Me too. But the cognitive stuff. And then later in life, now we're dealing with the Hashimoto's. And our kids don't need to deal with any of that stuff.
Correct. Yeah. There's just so many environmental toxins and things and other things that are coming into play, stress and sleep and just so much. It's like, let's just at least get them the foundation of nutrition so they know what's good to eat. And then from there, they can learn all the other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I met a boy. His parents are carnivore. They tried for 20 years to have a baby. They were vegetarians. They went carnivore and then they finally had their baby after like 20 years of trying. And they literally, there was some other stuff in the bottle, but they gave him meat since day 1.
Wow.
They literally in the blender meat. And I think there was some rice and beans in there. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but there was definitely meat in a bottle, liquid meat in the bottle. That kid is he is so sharp. He's 6 years old and he's right there. He's so sharp. And I'm like, okay, meat in a bottle as a baby. I'm like, what about nursing?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming breast milk too, but because a lot of the time they say, put that baby cereal stuff in a bottle. And I tried that one time and I was just like, this is gross. And that's even before I was carnivore. So we didn't go that route, but Goran and I are actually thinking about having another child. So if we do, maybe meat in a bottle will be something I can try.
Maybe. But that's funny. I can't wait till you have that next baby. And maybe it'll be a magical 2 babies.
I hate you. Everyone says that because here's the thing. So after you have one set of twins, you're statistically more likely to have another set. And because I had identical the first time, and now I'm 41. So the chance of releasing 2 eggs and having fraternal, it just goes up and up every year. So Goran jokes around about that. And I say, don't wish that evil upon me. He says, well, what about if we have triplets, natural triplets? And I'm like, why would you say that? Twin pregnancy is hard. I've been working really hard to lose weight. And I've been doing I did a liver cleanse the other day. I've been doing all these things to kind of clear out everything and just be as healthy and as fit as I possibly can be, because I gained 70 pounds with the boys and I was already overweight when I got pregnant. So I was 242 pounds the day I delivered. Dude, I was miserable.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get like into the 130s, and then from there, if I gain 40 pounds, if it's just one baby, or even if I gain 70 pounds, if I have two, I'll still only be at 200, you know? So that's
I don't know if you
what I'm
will
going
this
for.
time.
Well,
I mean, I weight that much because
right,
you're doing a carnivore diet.
right, exactly. And I intend on keeping that carnivore diet, or maybe like meat based. Maybe I'll throw in some fruit or something, but I can't eat grain. I can't do conventional dairy. There's just things I don't do anymore. I don't drink alcohol. There's just so many things will be different if we get pregnant again than the first time.
Right.
I'm much healthier now. Even with the Hashimoto's, I'm much healthier than I was. So I think, I mean, fingers crossed, it's one baby that's healthy that, you know, I gained 30 pounds with and bounce right back. But, you know, purposeful. We'll see.
You got your channel to document it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
For future moms out there.
Yeah.
So.
I get a lot of questions about animal-based pregnancies and like what to eat, what to do, how do you deal with this, how do you deal with that? And I'm like, I always push them towards Kilsa's channel or Rebecca Heichman or Nisha, people that have experience with that kind of stuff. But that is something that, if I go through it, I'm definitely going to share what I do.
Sure. Your channel's awesome, by the way. We started our channels at the same time, but you've put a lot more effort and your videos are much better than mine. But of all the stuff that of all the stuff you've talked about, all the various subjects you've taken up on your channel, what's like the most important for you and why, and communicating about, educating people about?
Yeah, so that one would be lipotoxicity, just because it affected my husband and it was a really big deal for us. So lipotoxicity is when you've reached your personal fat threshold and your fat cells can't hold any more fat inside of them. So they start to, the fat is in your bloodstream. That shows as high triglycerides. But then it can't stay in your blood because you would die. So it starts to deposit in your abdominal cavity around your organs as visceral fat. And it's just kind of a feedback loop. And we didn't know really anything about it. I'd heard about it because Dr. Nadir Ali has some content on his channel from a few years ago. So it was in the back of my mind. But Goran, last year, we started carnivore around the same time, like 2 weeks apart. And after 18 months, I'd lost 50 pounds and he'd lost nothing. And his metabolic health was declining. It was so wild, Alia. Like, we didn't know what the hell was going on. And the standard advice back then was just eat more fat, eat more fat, eat more fat. And he was already at like 70% fat to 30% protein. So he wasn't like adding butter to steaks or anything. He would just eat ribeyes and all that stuff. And he was not eating carbs. I fed him like he was not sneaking, like we were so boring. We stayed home all the time. We had babies, you know?
Right.
So it was just mind boggling to us. And then we went to Hack Your Health last year in June of 2024, and he got a DEXA scan. His first one in a really long time. And he had 9 pounds of visceral fat. 9. That's
so all in the belly.
Thank you. Outside too. But 9 pounds of visceral fat inside of the trunk of your body is really, really bad. That's a ton of visceral fat. So we were like, what is going on? So finally, we didn't know about the lipotoxicity yet. We just decided to do an experiment where we would measure once a month with blood work, DEXA scans, and continuous glucose monitoring throughout. And he would do a really long water fast every single month, because that was how he lost the first 130 pounds that he lost before we even met. He was over 400 pounds, lost 130 to get down to 270. But then on carnivore, he just stayed around 270 plus or minus 10 pounds. So he went back to the long water fasts and some strength training and some like zone 2 cardio, very light exercise. And the weight started to come off. And we got his visceral fat by February of 2025 down to 5 pounds. And we had gotten him down to 217 pounds. So I presented all of this data at the Collaborative Science Conference in Vegas, Dave Feldman's conference. And afterwards, Dr. Nadir Ali was there. So he came up to me and he said, hey, I think what your husband was experiencing was lipotoxicity. And that's when my awareness of lipotoxicity and what was going on with Goran, it connected for me. It was like a light switch moment. And then I had Dr. Ali on the channel, Craig Emmerich on the channel, because the Emmerichs have seen this in their practice too. And then I boiled it all down into a lipotoxicity video so that people didn't have to watch, 3 hours worth of content to figure out how to check for it. So that's kind of been a game changer for me and Goran. Now he's, I think, down to 200. He was at 205 at his lowest after a water fast, but you know, you always gain weight back after a water fast. I think he's at 210 now. We've gotten his visceral fat down to 4 pounds. So we still have a ways to go, but his blood pressure was going higher. His fasting glucose was like 130. His fasting insulin was in the teens or 20s, and this is not eating any carbs. So dude, it was crazy. So like, I'm really glad that everything is improving now. Like all of those numbers are improving. His blood pressure has normalized and all of this stuff. But like, I released this content and so many people have messaged me back or commented like, oh man, this is me. This is exactly what's going on with me. I was so confused, blah, blah, blah. And then they just go a little bit lower fat, not low fat, lower fat, higher protein, do the zone 2 cardio and the strength training and do some fasting, and everything starts to normalize.
Interesting.
It's so interesting. So that has been kind of a passion project for Goran and I, because it personally affected us.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
I mean, Goran's pretty tall though, right? Like I remember he's pretty tall. So is he about the right weight for his height, would you say? And you're still working on the visceral fat, getting that down.
We want to get that down to under 1 pound.
Okay.
I think everybody should be under 1 pound of visceral fat for optimal. Honestly, under 0.5 pound, but that can be hard to do. So he wants to get down to like 190. But really the number isn't as important as the body composition. So we want to get the fat mass under a certain number, the lean mass higher. And then eventually, he's already been working on the strength training and stuff and trying to change the body composition. But because he was over 400 pounds for a few decades, there's probably going to have to be some kind of like skin removal or things like that in the future. With the fasting, you can do autophagy and sometimes that'll tighten up, but there's a genetic component to it as well. And sometimes it's just like, there's nothing you can do about that, but we're going to cross that bridge in the next few years. If we have another baby, we're going to do that. And, wait till the baby's at least a year old. And then I'm going to get a facelift. He's going to get a tummy tuck and it's going to be wonderful. We're all going to be super happy.
Facelift.
Oh girl,
so beautiful.
Thank you. If you do a facelift really early, like in your 40s, it holds for like 15, 20 years and you look wonderful going in. If you do it in your 60s when everything's melted already, it's too hard to repair. Yeah. Well, you can't see here, but man, I'm starting to get the neck stuff and it literally drives me insane. My eye here. Oh, look at that. I look like I'm 30 now.
I mean, I hear you, but I don't know.
My doctor picked out, so.
I'm so scared of going under the knife ever again. I did it twice for C-sections. I don't want to do it again. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, face is totally different. So that's scary though.
Yeah. Back to lipotoxicity. Yes. So what are symptoms one would look for?
There's a few. So the first is if you have gone on an ultra low carb diet and for at least 90 days and you haven't lost any weight or you've even gained weight, that's a really clear sign, but that could also be happening for other reasons. So you want to take a look under the hood. Dr. Nadir Ali recommends some specific blood work markers. So the first is triglycerides. Yeah. You want that to be, if it's over 100, HDL below 50. Let's see, what else is there? Fasting glucose above 100, fasting insulin in the teens or above, a GGT, which is a liver function number, above a 30. And then there's adiponectin, which is kind of an expensive test and kind of niche. Like you really don't need to do that. You can do the other ones because that's like $40 worth of tests that I just mentioned. The adiponectin is anywhere between like $80 to $400. Yeah. So low adiponectin indicates lipotoxicity. And then the final thing you can do is get a DEXA scan or an MRI. DEXAs are easier to get and visceral fat. So if you have over 2 pounds of visceral fat with those other markers and you're not losing weight, another indicator is blood pressure. If your blood pressure is high, that can be an indicator as well. So typically people are becoming lipotoxic, not from the carnivore diet. They're coming to the low carb diet already lipotoxic.
Sure.
That's why most people that go on a carnivore diet, they see amazing results with high fat, moderate protein. Most people are losing weight. Their markers are improving. That's why I say you kind of have to wait that 90 days to see what's going on. I mean, we didn't know what was going on with Goran for 18 months and this was happening for him. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, those are all things that you can measure. And then once you do that, it's quick and easy to fix. You just lower the fat. I would say instead of doing 70-30, do like 60-40, 65-35 fat to protein, something like that.
What does that look like? Because people are like, sure, yeah, but they can't figure it out.
Yeah. So typically it just means like, don't add extra fat to stuff. Don't eat sticks of butter. Don't add butter to the steak. Don't be drowning your meat in fat. Only eat the fat that's on the meat that you're eating. You can also switch out one meal a day for something leaner. So if you're doing carnivore and you're eating a ribeye for dinner every night, switch that out 3 nights a week for a sirloin or a filet. That's a really, for sure. Yeah, whatever leaner meat you can do, but you don't want to do all lean meat. You still want to have some fat, because fat is very important. But the whole key here is you're trying to get your body to tap into its own fat stores.
Yeah.
And if you're providing a lot of extra dietary fat, it has to process that first. So it will never be able to get into the fat stores. So that's kind of the key. And then zone 2 cardio is nice and slow. You can still maintain a conversation. It's like 65 to 75% of your max heart rate. And you do that for like 30 to 60 minutes 3 times a week, and then do some strength training. Not super hard for the exercise portion. And then fasting. If you can throw in fasting, you don't have to, but if you can, everything gets better quick.
Like go matter more. Like what?
I mean, I would say probably more. I think you should be doing intermittent fasting every single day. You don't have to do OMAD if you don't want to. 2MAD is fine too. But like Goran did 10 to 14 day water fasts once a month.
Wow. So half the month I wasn't eating.
That's insane. And he really likes fasting. Like he's good at it. I would say maybe do like once a week, do a 24-hour water fast, and then up that to a 36-hour, and just do that every week. If you can do a 3 to 5 day water fast at least once a month, that can be really, really helpful.
Awesome. That's great. So that's subject number 1 that you love to talk about on your channel.
I do.
Subject number 2.
I think the next thing that I talk about often are just like N of 1 experiments.
Okay.
So I do a lot of different interesting experiments and do blood work and DEXAs. Kind of jumps off the lipotoxicity just because we do a lot of data gathering. But yeah, N of 1 is so much fun.
I love that. I got to do some more N of 1 myself. Try different things. I did a sardine fast, and I might delete this out of here. My butt was bleeding for like 2 days, and then was bleeding for like 3 days. I haven't eaten a sardine since. And I can't tell if it was like the soybean. It said olive oil, but it could have been not.
Yeah, it could have been that. Have you ever had gout or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. No.
Interesting.
But I lost 4 pounds in 3 days, and then I ate eggs and gained it all back.
Yeah. Well, the thing with fasting is you have to be consistent with it if you're going to do it for any kind of weight loss or autophagy or things. You can just do a protein sparing modified fast if you don't want to do sardines again.
I definitely don't.
Yeah, I mean, because you can just do chicken or other lean meat and just do enough protein to spare your lean mass and just do that for a few days.
Yeah, I could probably get into that. Yeah. But no, I do the various N of 1 experiments. Funny enough, like I didn't know actually what was wrong with me let's say, I hate saying what's wrong with me, what was wrong with my body until I was like into carnivore. I didn't know there was a thing called endometriosis. I didn't know that there was a thing called IBS. I didn't know that there was like a thing called lipedema.
Yeah.
And so I was just in pain all the time. Touch me. Why did you touch me so hard? And it's like, do you get what I'm saying? Why am I all these things? And it's funny. So like I went into carnivore to lose weight. That's like totally vain. Like the only reason. Okay.
That's the only reason I started.
And then my period came and no pain. And then my back pain went away. And then my C-section scar that never healed in 3 months. Like after 5 years, I still have a pussy C-section scar. Gross, sorry. Yeah, all these things went away. So I still haven't figured out this weight thing. But all those bad things never came back. Does that make sense?
That's amazing.
Like, yeah.
Well, you said you have lipedema.
Yeah.
So from everyone that I've talked to with it, higher protein, moderate fat is better.
Yeah. So like what you were saying about the lipotoxicity.
Well, lipotoxicity is a bit lower in fat. I just think for you, I don't know what your macros are. I don't know if you track any of that.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah. So just higher protein, lower fat is better for lipedema.
Yeah. I that's what I've heard also, except if you talk to Dr. Kills.
I know, but Dr. Kilt thinks higher fat is good for everything. I love him to death. But
Too.
but for that specific condition, higher
Yeah.
fat can actually make it worse.
Yeah, that's
And it's so
yeah.
painful and debilitating anyways. It's like, don't do anything to make it worse, you know?
Sure. Yeah, the pain is all gone. It's basically
good.
gone. The
Good.
pain, like I don't bruise. I was like pregnant with Brianna. I'm like, why am I bruising why are my legs all bruising? I don't even remember. But the thing is, I didn't know any of this until
Yeah.
I came into this community, started making some doctor friends, asking them questions.
Right.
Because this all came about because I was like, Dr. Nelson, I think like I need to go on Hashimoto's medication. Can you help me like get a prescription because I'm here? And he looked at my blood work. He's like, there's no way I'm putting on medication for that. And he's like, you should check out lipedema. That's
Yeah.
what you look like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you know what it is, you can spot a person with it from a mile away
Yeah.
because there's very specific profile, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's good that you don't have the pain anymore.
Yeah, I don't have the pain anymore, and that's great. Except if my daughter like runs into me
Sure.
very hard, but
Yeah. But that's going to hurt regardless of lipedema or not.
Yeah. I like to listen to your channel. You have a lot of good information. Can you tell me the history of this book? How did this start? How did you write a book? How's your book sales going? Yeah, that's your brand new one, right? Or your only one?
My first and only.
Okay.
Currently. I want to write some more. So this book was a very interesting story. So this was last summer in June of 2020. I was talking to Goran about, I had just gotten off a text with Courtney Luna. She had just gotten done writing her book, and she was just like totally pooped out. It's a lot of work. And I was telling Goran like, oh God, I would never want to write. That sounds just horrible to me. 2 weeks later, I get a random email from Victory Belt Publishing. They're the people that published Sean Baker's book, Ken Berry's book, Courtney's book, a lot of Maria Emmerich's books, saying, hey, would you like to write a cookbook?
That's so funny. You like got what you resisted. You're like never, and then it came to you.
I was like, oh, I don't want to write a cookbook, but also I need to take a call with these people because I have like 5 of their books on my bookshelf. They make beautiful books. They're very high quality and they have great information. So of course I'm going to take them. So I took the call and I told them like, look, I could do a cookbook, but what I really want to do is a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet with everything that I've learned over the past, 2.5 years on carnivore, because Sean Baker's book is excellent, but it was the very first book on carnivore and it's very thin, so I wanted to incorporate like a whole chapter on measuring your progress and all the blood work stuff that I've learned and the DEXA scan stuff. I'm answering questions all the time on YouTube, the same questions often of troubleshooting. So I did a whole chapter on troubleshooting, did a whole chapter on just FAQs, frequently asked questions that I get all the time. And then I'll complete starter guide. So I was talking to them about this and kind of brainstorming with them. They're like, yeah, that sounds amazing. Plus I can do 80 recipes. So I just, in my mind, I envisioned it as like 80.
Oh, wow.
It's basically 2 books in one. It's like the cookbook portion and then the whole starter guide. It's 400 pages long. It's thick. It's a big boy. But that's kind of what my vision was. I saw it as the encyclopedia to the carnivore diet that a carnivore at any stage in their journey, for day 1 to day, year 15, like kills. They can find some value, something in here that will help them. So that they said yes. They said, sure, yeah, that'd be great. So I signed the deal in July of last year. And then I started, why? It's so heavy, it won't stand up. Oh my God.
It's a beautiful, what is it called? Coffee table book.
Right, exactly, yeah. So I started writing it. I wrote it. It took about 6 months to write. I had to do all the photos myself. That's kind of just standard with Victory Belt.
Okay.
And I turned in the final manuscript on December 12th of last year. And then I procrastinated on editing it for months. I started the edit in April. I think we finished it in June. I took a long time. Mostly I was just intimidated by the editing process. I didn't know it's so easy. It's really not hard. And then, the book went to print in September and now it's printed and it's being sent out to all the distributing places, Amazon, Target, Walmart, all the places. And it comes out on November. So it's
all right. Well, I'm going to Target. I know you're sending me a book, but I'm going to ask that it's And when I'm in Tampa in November, I'm going to go find it.
So the thing with that is I don't know what stores it's going to be in.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why pre-orders are so important, because with pre-orders, it builds buzz. And then Victory Bell can be like, hey, we've got so many thousands of pre-orders already. People are going to want this book. You need to have this on the shelf on release day.
Oh, awesome.
That's kind of like the big idea behind the pre-order push that we've been doing. And then if it sells really, really well, then yeah, it'll be on bookstore shelves. But for now, it'll be mostly online.
Okay. Well, I am going to put your link below in the show notes. So everyone who watches is ordered by me to order it. I'm going to direct order.
Thank you.
What are your plans moving forward?
Oh my gosh. Right now, I'm just like deep into the book promotion thing. Probably the rest of this year is going to be going on podcasts and maybe doing some shows if they want to have me on. Hack Your Health is coming up in November. So that's the 14th through the 16th down in Tampa. And I'm doing a book signing and a cooking demo on day one.
Great.
So much fun. And then I'm going on Dr. Lisa Wiedemann's carnivore cruise. After that, leaves the day after Hack Your Health. So that's going to be kind of like a mini vacation for me and Goran. No kids. They're going to be with the in-laws.
Yeah.
And then, I'd love to write another book. We have another 200 recipes that we could do. So perhaps another book or two, I think would be awesome. Like just a cookbook, since all of the other information is in that book. It could just be like an anthology. And then just content, man. I'm filming so many videos, so many videos. Lots of ideas. I enjoy creating videos. It's very.
That's awesome. That's like the least favorite thing, but I love talking to people.
I love talking to people too. I've got a ton of podcast interviews coming up, like for my podcast. And it is really, really fun to be able to chat with people and like pick the brains of the smartest people in the space. It's
awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So you said something interesting. So you have 80 recipes in that book.
Yep.
And you have another 200 recipes.
Yeah. So Goran and I, the other day, we were brainstorming. And we went through, we have a whole folder left over from recipes that didn't make it because we didn't have time to either perfect them or test it. And then we went through and kind of just brainstormed like what other recipes would we like. We save things on Instagram that are not carnivore, but that we could make carnivore that are popular. And then I like to do fast food restaurants, like trying to make one of their big items carnivore. I like that challenge. I've done the Popeye's spicy chicken sandwiches in this book. And like a Baconator, we did like a double cheeseburger, smash burger, but like a carnivore bun, carnivore everything. So we just went through and we're brainstorming. We're like, well, geez, we have a ton of recipes that we can. Carnivore is a little harder than keto because keto, you can use so many different items. Carnivore is kind of hard. But we've got a solid list. We got to test, some of them just don't work out. Like when we were testing, I was trying to do like crab rangoon with chicken skins as the rangoon part, and it just did not work. The chicken skin it shrank too much, and then the crab would go all over it. It was not pretty, and it didn't taste good.
Oh, it didn't taste good. Okay.
No, it was terrible. So there's, sometimes you're like, it sounds so good in theory, but then you try it and it's garbage. So there, some of those are going to be falling off the list. Yeah.
Some of the 200. Yeah. But I like them because I told somebody once, I misread their post. I thought they were asking for dieting advice. And so I said they should do carnivore. They got very offended because that's what they were not asking for. But the point is just like, I would never do that ever. I would never follow a carnivore diet. I don't know if she said it because she's mad at me, but I think people understand that you don't just have to eat steak all day.
No.
There's so many foods you can eat and all of them will help heal your body is the point. And they're delicious once you get off of the
Sure. There, I thought that before I started carnivore. I was like, how in the heck can you get all the vitamins and minerals you need only eating meat? That has to be so boring. I had no idea of what you can actually do with carnivore carnivore based foods. There's a lot you can do. And for me, again, I'm super boring. So I can eat a steak every single day. I could eat chicken wings 3 times a week and I do not get bored. But there's a lot of people out there that need different, they need variety, different textures and different flavors. And there's coming up a lot of carnivore cookbooks coming out. Victory Belt has really been trying to make sure that there's a lot of carnivore content. Courtney's book is excellent. Chris Cooking Nashville has one coming out. I can't wait for his. Ketogenic Woman, Anita Breeze has one coming out.
Wow.
Linda Salant, the Carnitarian, has one coming out, all from Victory.
Wow.
Yeah, so like they're trying, because there's not a lot of carnivore resources out there. There's a ton of keto, and they have a ton of the Victory Belt has a ton of the keto content. They were on that ball, but carnivore is still becoming more popular. It's like at the very beginning of its run. So it's just kind of like making sure that those books are available for people when they start carnivore, so they can have all these different amazing recipes to try. Because if you can do that and you can fit it in your lifestyle, if you can make, like Chris Cooking Nashville has that mashed potato recipe that's like legit tastes like mashed potatoes, but it's all carnivore. If you could replace that with regular, instead of the regular potatoes and have the meat and stuff, you wouldn't even feel deprived,
Right.
It's like, how do we make this lifestyle accessible for more people so that they can heal? Because a lot of people don't even realize like how sick they are. They just think they're supposed to be in pain all the time. No, you're in fact not supposed to. The human body is meant to run optimally, and eating a carnivore diet is one of a handful of ways that you can heal your. And I mean, unless you're a vegetarian or vegan, most people enjoy at least 1 or 2 cuts of meat. I mean, meat is delicious, So yeah, I mean, I was one of those weirdos that could eat. When I was a kid, they would cook a steak maybe a couple times a month just because we didn't have much money. And I would always eat the fat. I was like, cut off the fat for me. I want the gristle. I was a weirdo like that. I love that taste. And that has not changed as I've grown older.
Same here. And were you also the one who's like, give me the bloodiest?
I did not like super well done. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah.
My dad, though, he would never cook it under like medium, though.
Oh,
so, yeah. Yeah. Now, though, I do like rare medium. Yeah.
It tastes better. When you were on your podcast with Dr. Kiltz, I think actually the first thing you were talking about, mental health, depression.
Yeah.
You were on medications for a while. Can we talk about that and how carnivore and your dietary and lifestyle changes have improved those conditions?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression at 13, and I self-medicated with drugs and alcohol through my mid-20s. I was a heroin addict for, many years. I've been clean for almost 15 now. And of course, alcohol was my first love. That was my first, big drowning my sorrows. So the thing is when I came to carnivore, I was not expecting, just came to lose weight. That was literally the only thing, and I was interested to see what would happen to my glucose levels, because I wear a CGM and I had been wearing one for 3.5 months before I started carnivore. So I was very curious to see what would happen there. Those were the only 2 things. And then when I started carnivore, had the weight loss, glucose went way down, normalized. But after a couple of months, I realized like, wait, I don't have anxiety anymore. My depression is gone. And it had improved, like it was really bad in my teens and my 20s. In my 30s, it had improved. I still had a lot of anxiety, not as much depression. But after the kids, just the stress of all of that, had a lot of anxiety. That was the main issue, was the anxiety as I've gotten older, and it just went away. I had a prescription for Xanax. It was the lowest dose, and I would only take it as needed, but I'd probably take half of one of those every day just for the anxiety. And I didn't need to take it anymore. And I don't have that prescription anymore. And the funny thing is, though, so one of my N of 1 experiments was the sugar, because it was blowing up and everyone wanted to try it. So I'm like, this is perfect for an N of 1. I have to try it. I did it for 8 days. And on day 7, my anxiety. And I was like, oh, this is not good, So that's the only time it's ever come back in this period. Obviously, I wasn't doing carnivore when it came back, but I think it just illustrates that relationship between high blood sugar and ultra processed foods. 'Cause I was doing like candy and fruit and just sugar and mental health issues. So yeah, profound. It was very interesting.
It's very interesting. You should reach out to Dr. Joseph Whit-Doring. He's a psychiatrist. but he will talk about the direct relationship between insulin resistance and mental health.
Yeah.
And his clinic specializes in getting people off of psychiatric medications. It's called the Taper Clinic. So he's awesome. We just had him in our group, I think a week ago on Monday night he spoke. He was also on Tucker Carlson recently, but highly recommend you talk to him.
Nice.
I'm like a super, some of the stuff I have to edit out here, but like literally like I can talk to anybody. And then when he came on, my heart started racing, like my heartbeat went up and I was, it's him.
That's how I was the very first time I met Dave Feldman.
Oh, wow.
He was like my Beyonce. And I was just like, oh my God, but now we're friends. So it's funny. But yeah, we all have at least one.
We all have it. I've literally met Tom Cruise and John Travolta and that didn't happen. It was like this guy who I'm like, this is like a real hero. He's helping some people.
Yeah, that's amazing. Cool. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah. Let's see. No, this is how my podcasts go. I'm like, It's just like not prepared.
That's okay. Fine by the seat your pants.
Yeah, exactly. Because then it's like, what's the most interesting thing? Oh, yeah. Okay. So sorry, I'm going to ask about this. Like, so how did you find heroin and how did you get yourself off of it?
Oh, sure. So back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, Oxycontin was a big. So like I started drinking alcohol and smoking weed when I was 13. I had a certain group of friends we were doing that with. And then like I got a fake ID when I was 15. So I was going to bars and then like 15, 16, I started doing coke, just bar scene. And then that kind of evolved into like snorting pills or doing pills and things like that. And then I had a friend that found Oxycontin. So you snort it just on the weekends, but then those were very expensive. It was like $80 a pill or something. It was wild. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a lot. And heroin is just so much cheaper. So that same friend ended up finding heroin. And so then we were just kind of recreationally doing that. And then, of course, you can't really recreationally do heroin for very long before you start getting sick if you don't have it. And it starts as just like anxiety.
You get sick. Like,
you get dope sick. It's called being dope sick. Oh, yeah. The addiction, I mean, you could probably do it for a month or two every day without being addicted in the beginning. But after that,
intense.
It gets you in its grasps. And then you're dope sick, like coming off of heroin. Oh God, that's like 7 to 10 days of withdrawal. Wow. It is horrible. And the anxiety that I talked about, that's like that was my number one symptom, was intense anxiety, hot and cold flashes, sweating, just intense sweating. Like you feel like garbage, diarrhea, you could have nausea. It's crazy. So once you're addicted to it, it's really, really, really hard. One of the hardest things that you can get off, and most people don't. That's the thing. So yeah, I got addicted to it, snorted it for the first year and a half, but then started shooting it. And yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. I was homeless for a time. Yeah, crazy shit, man. So I ended up going to 3 different rehabs. The first one when I was 21, second one when I was like 23, and the third one, final one when I was like 25, I think. I can't really remember because it was a long time ago. And, in between the relapses, in between the rehabs, I would relapse. But each relapse, shorter the time between when I would get into the next, rehab facility. The first one, I had been addicted for like 3 years at that point. Went to a month-long facility, got out, stayed clean for about 4 months, got back into it for about a year. And then I went to my second facility, 30-day, and then I went to a halfway house for 3 months. When I relapsed the next time, I was only out there for maybe another 6 months. And then I went to my final rehab, stayed there for a year. There's a rehab facility, down in Peoria, that it was like intense, but it was for like hardcore drug addicts, which I was. So stayed there for a year, got out, ended up relapsing for about a month, but then I moved. I got out of Rockford because Rockford was just poison for me. And so many of my friends had fallen into it. Most of them are dead now.
Wow.
That's just the nature of the beast. So I moved to North Carolina. And I was drinking, but I wasn't really doing drugs. There was no heroin there, at least none that I could find. So I got clean, and then I was able to stay. Been clean for 15 years now.
That's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always wonder why people. Okay, I'm even more square and boring than you are. Like, no weed, maybe been drunk like 5 times, 10 at most of my whole life. I'm 42. Like,
I was not square growing up. I was druggy. Now I'm a straight edge.
Yeah, I love that. But I
Yeah.
love that you were able to do that because like your friends, you could be dead, but you're not because you got through it. Like you did the right thing for you. And I have this beautiful thing. But I always wonder why people get into that. But I think you were saying your teenage depression, anxiety.
It was just kind of the group of people I was with too. I mean, in the beginning, it was just a small group of us that were doing heroin. But that expanded quickly. I guess it was just because it was another thing to do. We didn't really think of it like, ooh, this is heroin. You know, it was just like, oh, it's another drug, you know, because we had already been doing so many others.
Right.
It was just kind of the natural progression. And in Rockford, it was an epidemic in the late 90s, early 2000s. And it got even worse later after I had gotten off. So many people that I had never expected to do heroin fell into it and ended up, yeah, man, like the whole, you know, heroin epidemic in the United States. I got in early. So like I got in and I got out early. The epidemic that everyone talks about in the news, that was after I had already gotten off the dope. Wow. And the thing with heroin nowadays is it's mixed with so many other things.
Right.
We didn't have to deal with that back in the day. There was no fentanyl. There was no nothing like that.
Scary.
Right. And that's why most people are dying now is they're having an overdose from the fentanyl that's mixed in. We didn't have that. So like it's a completely different world now than when I was in it, you know, 20 years ago. It was totally different. But crazy. Because I'm a completely different person than I was. I mean, like night and day. Like you wouldn't even recognize photos of me. Just completely different person. And I don't ever think about doing drugs. Like it's just not even in my brain. I would never do them. Number one, they're so freaking dangerous. But also, I had a counselor at the third rehab I went to that said, you need to make your life so good that you would not imagine doing drugs. And I took that to heart. And that is what my life is. My life is amazing now. I love my life just because I came from, you know, the addiction time when my life was garbage. So I'm very thankful, grateful for the life that I have now. And I would never imagine screwing it up by doing some drugs, you know.
Totally
Wild.
I don't know, because a lot of our people that listen to this are carnivore, but let's say someone's listening to this who is in that path, right? What would you want to tell them get out of that path? Because I think deep down they want to be out, right? The drug.
Yeah. The problem with addiction is you have to make up for you and you alone. You can't get clean for anybody. You have to decide that you're going to make the change, and then you have to do it's very, very hard. And so you're like, I relapsed a bunch, you know, it's never a linear path to healing. It's always like this, right? So you just have to make the commitment to change. And the thing is, for a lot of people, they have to hit their own bottom. They always talk about, you know, hitting the bottom. And sometimes that bottom, you think you've hit your bottom and then you go, and it's until you really hit that bottom that you can really get clean. So, I mean, my advice would be don't ever start in the first heroin or painkillers or anything. That is just the path to just, and most people do not make them. So I would hope that most people watching this know that, but maybe they have family members that are in, and it's difficult. And there's only so much you can help those people, you know, because you have to have your own boundaries too. You can't let them into your life all the time and have that destruction come into your life. Because I mean, for me, man, I would beg my parents for money constantly. Like my mom wouldn't even let me come over to her house because she thought I would steal. My dad let me live there for a time, but like it was so stressful for everybody to the point where they needed to have boundaries where they had to just keep me away until I was ready to.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you have to. And if I encountered that nowadays with somebody, I would be very tough love with them. Because otherwise they'll walk all over you. I did that to people that allowed me to. So
man, I understand. Not the same, but I would lie to my dad about money for French fries. So I mean, it's not the same at all.
French fries are an addiction too. I get it.
Oh man, it's been an amazing hour.
Yeah, this was great. I like that you didn't have anything planned. Oh yeah, this was great.
Oh, great. Yeah, I really I like to talk about addiction and stuff like that because I mean, other than cigarettes, I don't really know addiction, but I know that there's a lot of problems out there with it. So I'm glad. Thank you for talking about that and opening up. I think that's not easy to talk about. I don't know.
Sure. Well, I'm
Yeah.
so far removed from it though that it's not hard for me to talk about it. We had been talking about this right after getting clean. It would be a different story.
Sure.
But my whole purpose in life is to help as many people as I possibly can. And if my story can help somebody, then I need to tell it. It's not going to help anybody keeping it inside. So,
Right. Good point.
yeah.
That's a very good point. All right. Thank you, my dear. What else do you want? Do you have anything else? Closing words or whatever?
No, I'm good. This was
Okay.
great. I'll come back
Awesome.
anytime.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And I'll hop over to your channel if you want, but
Yes.
if you
Let's
if you
schedule
like.
it.
We'll do it. Let me hit end recording.
I love it.